as an old joke goes, I served with a guy named Jim Eastland from Mississippi. Remember that old segregationist Mississippi, talked at you like this. And I got there, he was in his 80s, I was 30 years old. And he asked me, he always called me, he didn't call me boy, he always called me son. He said, son, come here. I went over and sat down next to him. He said, and he asked what the problem was. I told him how tough the race was. He looked at me, he said, what old Jim Eastland do for you in Delaware, boy, or son? And I said, well, Mr. Chairman, some places you'd help, and some places you'd hurt. He looked at me, he said, well, then I'll come to Delaware. I'll campaign for you or against you, whichever will help me. So I'm returning the favor, Dave. I'll campaign for you or against you, whichever will help the most.
In Washington, Senator Eastland represents his neighbors in a fashion that some find confusing. A staunch opponent of government handouts, he did nevertheless support his colleague, Senator Stennis, who proposed a bill authorizing a $25 million emergency measure to feed hungry people. It died in the House. The senator still thinks and speaks for the folks back home. He has publicly declared that Negroes living on his plantation, working or not, have a home for life. One of his neighbors is Negro activist Fannie Lou Hamer, one of the founders of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. To her, the senator's generosity has a hollow ring.
Senator Eastland has never done nothing for nobody poor, not in this county. Because the people on Senator Eastland's plantation is just as poor as I am. And he hadn't done anything for them. And he hadn't done anything for nobody else that's poor in Sunflower County. And I've been right here in Sunflower County since I was 2 years old.
You borrow money from Senator Eastland, you've got to pay an interest?
Yeah, I had to pay interest on it.
Tell us about that. Go all the way through and tell us how that works.
Yeah, see, when I borrow it, just like I borrowed $30, well, I'm got to pay 2 bits on every one of them dollars I borrowed from him.
So they're not getting anything free. If they loan them money, they might have to pay that double instead of just paying maybe 10% on the dollar. So they're not giving them anything.
Tell us about what your family is going to eat until you get more.
Well, they'll eat some turnip greens and some cornbread. All I know, because I don't have anything else. And I don't have no money to buy nothing with. I don't have no job. I have been trying to get one, but I can't.
When I think about that and how hungry people are in the South, then it makes me a little sick to say, how can they spend all that much money in another country and really not doing nothing at home? See, I think charity began at home and then spread abroad.
There were many levels of resistance to the principle of desegregation. Legislatures passed resolutions of nullification, motions of interposition. They passed laws abolishing public school systems in event of desegregation. They passed new pupil assignment statutes designed to avoid mixing of the races in the classroom. And in Washington, Southern representatives successfully blocked civil rights legislation. Senator James Eastland of Mississippi explains a rather special method he developed to avoid passage of a bill.
Truman had a civil rights bill that is 144 pages thick. You know what I did? I put a special pocket in my pants. And for 3 years, I carried those bills around on my person everywhere I went. And they accused me of violating their rights and violating the law. Now, what's the fact? I'm just as guilty as they said I was.
It's found throughout the years that you have more harmony and that the races can make more progress under a system of separate